Hi everybody, this is my hero Kil'jaeden guide. Kil'jaeden is much different than the other 8 fights. I'm going to show you the best way that I have found. This might not be the best way, but for what I've used, I'm going to show you how I did it. So first, let me just say, this guy hits really hard. I'm going to show you my damage output. It has, like, my highest normal melee without Fell Claws was 4.8 million damage, just a regular white hit. And the highest soak that I did in phase 1, the intermission phase, was like 5.4 million. Yeah, this is not a joke. If you go into this and you're not prepared, you're gonna die. So I'm gonna show you what I use for this fight, what I recommend. There are a lot of variations to this, but out of all my testing, this is what I found to work the best. So first and foremost, let's talk about talents. Talent wise, what I use for this fight is Abyssal Strike, Fallout, Flame Crash, Fracture, Concentrated, Spirit Bomb. These are pretty much set in stone. You could also run Razor Spikes. I don't recommend it, just because you don't want to be tempted to use Demon Spikes while you're off tanking for damage. And there are a lot of AoE phases in phase 1 and phase 2, so Abyssal Strike would pull ahead during the AoE phase. Fallout, for the souls, you're going to need it. Flame Crash for damage, Fracture for the souls, Concentrated, Spirit Bomb for the damage and the healing, and then, alright, so 110, I went with Last Resort. The other option would be Demonic Infusion. Soul Barrier is not good on Kil'jaeden. Don't run it. Because he hits so hard, a 115,000 HP shield is not going to do anything to a 4.8 million hit. Like, it's not going to matter. It is better to keep up your uptime with Demon Spikes with Demonic Infusion or Last Resort. I use Last Resort because if he white hits you with 2 melee hits back to back and you're not topped off, you're dead. Like, there's no other way around it, you're dead. And no other boss that I've ran has this ability. Mythic Gul'dan does not hit as hard as Hero Kil'jaeden. And that's kind of crazy. So I recommend Last Resort. It just makes it safer, especially when you're learning. Gear. Now this is where everything changes up, and this is what I recommend. Let's start with legendaries. In my opinion, for this fight, the 2 legendaries that are the best to use if you have them is Oblivion's Embrace, the legs that gives you the additional charge of Demon Spikes. This is absolutely massive. If you have this, this is definitely what you want to use. And my second pick for this would be the boots, because in phase 1 and phase 2 you are AoEing quite a bit. This will allow you to have Fiery Brand up for every other Fell Claws. If you don't have the boots, you won't have it up until the end of the second Fell Claw. So it's not that good. So I would highly recommend boots and pants. And the other reason why I recommend this, because this gives you a ton of stats. The goal here is to stack HP for my strat, and I'll explain why I did this. So these both give you a ton of stats, which is stamina, and that is very important. If you don't have either of these, the next pick I would say is Prideas, again for the stamina. And if you don't have any of that, then you could use an Archmon's Hatred Reborn. I don't recommend this, and I'll explain why. The shield is great, but the shield is only up for every 3rd Fellclaw. That's it. The First in Mastery is amazing, but you can only pop this every 3rd Fellclaw due to timers. So that's not very good. And it has no stamina on it. The belt would be okay because it gives you stamina if you don't have anything better. So I would use the belt over Archmon's. Then everything else is kind of meh. So I wouldn't really use anything else unless you don't have a choice. If you don't have a choice, then use what you have. But if you have a choice, that is what I recommend: the boots and the pants. If you don't have, I don't have the boot, so I use Prideus instead for the shield and the stamina. So for other gear, I used, first off, 2-piece is not mandatory, but that 5% damage reduction is huge. I highly recommend to get the 2-piece. We tried Kil'jaeden on Thursday. He demolished me. I built this set and forced, quote unquote, forced the Master Looter to give me 2 pieces of normal gear, because that 5% is huge. The other change is trinkets. I use DMC for the armor value, because everything he does to you is physical, except that one ability that I messed up on. Let me look at the logs here. Darkness of 1,000 Souls did 26 million damage to me. It's because I messed that up. And I'll point it out to you, because that should not be remotely that high. But here's the switch. I use a stamina trinket. This is Scorpion's stamina trinket. I hate this trinket. It's not a good trinket. But for this fight, it's amazing. The goal is, and why I like this over Archie's, is right now, if I use a feast, I would be at 8.1 million HP. That is 1.4 million more HP than my normal hybrid set. So what's better, having 1.4 million more HP, or getting a 1.4 million shield from Archie once every 3 Fell Claws? Like, this guy hits so hard that it is imperative that you have the HP to soak it. I'm going from Thursday, when I had 6.7 million HP, every time I did not parry, I was worried I was going to die. Whereas when I used this set, there was no point where I was actually in panic mode. So, highly recommend. It makes this fight so much easier if you use a stamina set. And to pull that off, you need the animated exoskeleton, or the stam trinket from, I think it was Desolate Host, that I don't have. Other than that, go with eye level, because you want HP. My eye level actually dropped using this gear set, but it was the best that I could put together. So, highly recommend that you use the stamina set, because it makes Kil'jaeden far more manageable. For Consumables, first time, and probably the only time I'm going to recommend it, is the Stamina Flask. You need that extra HP. It's huge. Then I used the Feast, and I stayed in Vengeance spec when I ate it to get the Stamina buff. So Stamina from Flask, Stamina from buff, the Feast. And then for pots, I used Prolonged Power on the actual pull. But later on, I used the Unbending Potion for the armor for 25 seconds. I believe I used it in phase 3 to help the healers out, because everything that's going to kill you is going to be physical damage. So, Unbending Potion is huge. So that is the setup I used, and I can't emphasize enough about how important a stamina set is on this fight. You can beat it without it. A lot of people have beat it without it. Well, quote unquote, a lot of people have beat it without it. But there is a huge difference in me staying alive between my normal set and my stamina set. It's just leaps and bounds better to use this. So let's go ahead and look at the footage. Alright guys, so here is the Kil'jaeden video. If you notice here, I do have the 8.1 million HP that I was talking about in the guide, and again, for the 15th time, I highly recommend you doing that. It makes it so much easier to deal with. So on the pull, I do not open up a Far Rear Brand like I tell you guys to do in every other video. You need Far Rear Brand for every Fell Claw you can use it for. You don't use it for damage. Your damage does not matter very much. So, we get ready to pull this here. And, oh, just heads up, I left the sound on and my mic on, so you can hear that in the background once in a while, so you can hear some of the calls I'm making live. It's something I'm trying out. If you don't like it, just let me know. So I'm going to pull, and I'm going to Demon Spikes as soon as I can, and I'm going to walk him back. I'm going to get Spirit Bomb up for the healing, and once he's in position, I'm going to turn him. And my back is to the corner behind me, due to the knockback that's going to be coming. So the Armageddon is going to come. The off-tank should soak the first Armageddon, because there's no reason not to. The big Armageddon. And the ads are going to come out. Here, if you don't have the legs, this is kind of sketchy, because what you want to do is you want to have your demon spikes up as much as you can during this part of the fight, but you still need to have 2 of them up for Fell Claws. So there's times here you have to let your demon spikes drop off. And if you don't have the legs, this is kind of sketchy, I'm not gonna lie to you. But having this much HP makes it easier to deal with. So you need to have 2 demon spikes going into the Fell Claws. So I'm gonna make a call, Fell Claws now. And to deal with the first Fell Claw, you do your Fiery Brand and your demon spikes. Now, Fell Claws is bugged. It gives you no pain while taking the damage. That should not be like that. And don't expect to fix anytime soon, because Spellblade's Annihilate still does not give you pain after it's been reported. So don't expect this to be fixed. So knowing that I'm not going to get any pain from the damage, what I tend to do is I pop up 2 demon spikes back to back. Because you can't parry demon spikes, so that trait is irrelevant. So you want to at least have 10 seconds of demon spikes, so I pop them as soon as I can back to back. Then I know demon spikes is fine. There's been times where I would use Fracture too much, have no pain for demon spikes, and catch myself in a lot of trouble. So I'm going to go ahead and get my first demon spikes up, get my second demon spikes up, and now I know that's covered for the rest of the fight. During this time I also use my Soul Carver, and I use my Immolate to make sure Fiery Brand stays up for the 10 seconds. Now as soon as the 5th swing comes in, the off tank has to taunt. If you eat 1 melee, you can get 1 shot by it. So he taunts right away like he should have, and we're good. While you're off tanking, don't use demon spikes. This is the time you need to let your demon spikes recharge, which is why I don't recommend razor spikes. So you just use a Spirit Bomb rotation and Shear and Fracture just for damage. Now what I'm doing here is I'm watching the Fell Claws. As soon as that number hits 5, you have to taunt. Right there I taunted. Because I know that even though he's a druid, he can still get hit one shot if he has 5 stacks of Fell Claws. Now the orb is falling to knock me back, which is why we're positioned facing a corner. So I'm going to turn him. And this is where you use Glide. Glide's really broken. It's broken. So we're going to go into, and this is going to be an Armageddon phase. We can eat the Armageddon, and we should, if you watch here. Pop Demon Spikes, because Armageddon is physical, but watch my HP when I eat it. That's another reason why to use Stam Gear. It makes it feasible and more viable to eat those. So we're going to have a knockback, so Armageddon, knockback, then we're going to have the Focus Dread Flame. Now, for this, we wiped a lot when we first was learning the mechanics. Only half the raid needs to eat this. If you group up, you will splash more damage than other people. So I make judgment calls. If I can't get in front of this because there's too many people, I just don't. Because we only need half the raid. So I make a judgment call, too many people, I don't stand in front. Now we're going to have another Armageddon. I could eat it, or I could have the bear eat it. He was there, he eats it, I get in front of the Dread Flame. And then I look at the ball that's fallen, make sure I'm in position. I'm going to glide. Alright, and now what you should be calling is everybody needs to spread out, because this bursting Dread Flame will kill people. Not you, but everybody else could die from this. So you should be yelling at people to spread out, spread out, spread out. And then you're going to pick them up, and you're going to pull them to a corner. Which corner is irrelevant. So this is your phase 1 position you get. Yep. So I'm going to pull them back to this corner, and a Fell Claw is going to happen almost right away. So this is the normal rotation. Fiery Brand, 2 stacks of Demon Spikes, throw in Soul Carver. And then you just DPS them and heal with Spirit Bomb. Your healers have to be spamming on you, by the way. Your healing alone won't come close to keeping you alive. Your healers have to spam on you for this. Alright, there's a taunt at 5, so I don't die. At this point, these ads have to die, so focus them and AoE them down as quickly as possible with Spirit Bomb, Immolation, and Flame Crash. Your raid will wipe if they stay alive for too long. Alright, so now we have a Fell Claws coming in for the off tank. We don't do anything, we just DPS. But you watch his debuffs. At 5, you must taunt. If you're late, the tank can die. He can be one shot. So just wait to 5. There it is, taunt, and switch. Now I have an ad coming on me. This ad I don't deal with, the off tank has to deal with. And now in phase 2, and let me just say this, phase 2 with these large Armageddons, you have to use an immunity cooldown soak with the DPS. If you have the Fell Claw debuff on you, it will one-shot you, because Fell Claws gives you increased physical damage. You saw how much damage I took from a normal one without Fell Claws. Now think of it with like 100 and some % increased damage. You can't soak in this phase. A DPS with an immunity must. So Fell Claws come in. The ad's picked up. The off tank should pick up the ad and move it out. Now for this Fell Claw, I'm calling for immunity. If you don't have Fiery Brand, you need not immunity, but a external cooldown. If you don't have Fiery Brand up, you need a cooldown to stay alive. That's the problem with the Demon Hunter. So I call for a cooldown, and I get a sack for this, and they give me a wing, so they double down on it. So you do your normal rotation, keep 2 stacks of, oh, I want to point out, Fiery Brand just came off cooldown, run the 5th stack. This is without the boots. If you have the boots, you could use it for this, but without the boots, it just came off cooldown. For the 5th stack, don't use it, just save it for the next one. So at 5, he's going to taunt. If the ad's still up, he would taunt it, but it died. So group up for that, but there's too many people in melee, so I don't stand in front on purpose. And then the next Fell Claws come in. So, DPS rotation here. At 5 stack, taunt ASAP and turn them. Now, here is a special orb. The Rupturing Singularity will always be in the middle on this one, always. So he only cleaves during Fell Claws. So Fell Claws not for 9 seconds. So what I'm going to do is move him back towards it and then reposition him, so nobody gets knocked off. So this is a little sketchy because there's going to be a knockback and then a Fell Claw right off the bat. So the DPS has to get out of the way because he will cleave and one-shot them. So this is where you use your Fiery Brand, Demon Spikes.
Fell Claws?
Yeah. And that's the normal rotation. And then you can get taunted and move back to position. We can't soak the... Alright, so what I do here, we can't soak the big one because we will die. We have Fell Claw debuff that will one-shot us, but we can soak the small ones. So what I do is I jump out here and get ready to soak a small one, but everybody picks it up so I don't have to. 90% of all our wipes is because somebody did not soak an Armageddon. Not kidding. So I jump out just in case. I look around, if they're all being soaked, I don't worry about it. I go back in and I help DPS the ads down. Alright, so right here, it's on at 5 ASAP. And if your DPS is too low, there's going to be a ball dropping as you're getting hit by Fell Claws. It makes it really hard. So we Bloodlust in phase 2 to skip this part. So keep in mind we have 2% into the darkness phase. If you're not ready to push him before darkness, or well, before the next orb, you have to move him to a better position because Fell Claws will overlap with the orb. But Bloodlust, hopefully you can skip it like we do. So I don't position because I know he's going to be pushed.
Push him here.
Alright, so the ball's dropping. You can see it over there by the moon. And here's the Deceiver's Veil. So we move over by the moon to make sure we don't get knocked off. Alright, so here's the darkness phase. You have to find Illidan. And once you find Illidan, you get a debuff on you. And that allows you to both be healed and do damage. You cannot be healed and you cannot do damage without this buff. I've been told that the vision works to find Illidan, but every time I used it, it never worked. Supposedly you can turn on friendly nameplates and then use vision and see it, but I never tried. So basically you just run around and you try to find it. And if you look at the mini-map, the first person that finds them just pings the mini-map. So as soon as you see it, you jump over there. Alright, so as soon as you step into his circle, you get a debuff. This debuff does damage, but allows you to get healed and to do damage. These ads need to be stunned, so they don't blink away. But our talent makeup, we don't use the stun. So keep refreshing your debuff. And help DPS these down. So Fracture and Spirit Bomb. And just do as much damage as you can. A Death Knight should be death gripping over near Kil'jaeden. That way people can refresh their debuff. This phase, if you go in this phase with people having Armageddon debuffs on them, the dot, there's a high possibility you will die, or they will die going into this. This is kind of sketchy. So where we push them is ideal because there is no like recent Armageddons. So if you can push them where we push them, it is much easier to deal with this phase. So here's our last ad. We gotta kill it, and then this phase is over. We start with this phase here. He does this Darkness of 1,000 Souls. It does a ton of damage. Everybody groups up, and you just pop Empowered Wards.
Flow personals.
You should use a healing cooldown here as well, or 2. So there it is. I'm going to pick him up, and I'm going to tank him in a phase 1 or phase 2 position, and he already cast Fell Claws, so you have to turn him ASAP so nobody gets cleaved. So I'm going to blow cooldowns on him. Alright, so there's the first Fell Claw, but check this out. He's casting Tear Rift at this point, so he stops meleeing you. That means you're not going to get 5 stacks, which is great. So he does Tear Rift, blow all your normal cooldowns. He's going to hit me twice, he's going to hit me a 3rd time, and then the off-tank taunts, you only get 3 debuffs on this one.
Taunt.
And I have to tell him to taunt because he's looking for 5. Now these pylons, how these work, this is like Bomberman. Giant like beams will shoot out of these knobs in 4 directions. So try to position yourself between the knobs. It's kind of hard to do, to be honest, when you have a ton of them up and you're trying to watch your own HP so you don't die.
Not too far.
Alright, let's see here. Fire Orb is here. If that ever spawns near the boss, you have to move the boss. But that's a good positioning, we don't have to worry about it.
Alright, felt.
You saw that knockback? Alright, he's at 5 stacks, you taunt ASAP, so this doesn't change.
Save the better res.
Another good point here, we have 1 battle res left, 1 person's dead. If 1 tank dies, it's almost a guaranteed wipe. So you want to save at least 1 battle res for a tank. Alright, so let me see here.
Felt calls in 2. I'm going to need external.
So I'm calling for an external, make sure you called it out every time. Alright, so something bad happens here, and I didn't do this correctly. Right here, you see this giant fireball is going to spawn underneath him. I need to pull him somewhere else. Problem is I'm being sucked into the gravity well, so I can't move away from it very well. I should have jumped away. I was worried because of the Fell Claws are hitting me currently. If I jumped away, somebody's going to get nailed by it. But I should have jumped away here. So I'm trying to move him, but I'm not moving because of the gravity well. And this is going to cause deaths. Because, boom, there's the fire because somebody didn't move. And that killed more people. So that was really bad for us. So I can stand in front of this Dread Flame. It's going to kill another person. Alright. So this is where I messed up with this debuff that I mentioned earlier. Darkness of 1,000 Souls. If you look here, I still have one of the debuffs from the very first one because you couldn't get it off you. So what you're supposed to do when there's 2 seconds left is stand in the gravity well and it will pull the debuff off of you. But I jumped out too soon and I still have the debuff.
Felt claws up.
So here's another 3 Fell Claw hit because he was casting. And I call for a taunt because he's still looking for 5 debuffs.
Run, my dude. That's what the portal is. Where we go.
Keep in mind, the portal is opening behind him. He didn't see it. I could see it because of my positioning. So I just told him to move. You cannot stand. You can't tank him at the portal. Which is perfect timing because the orb was coming out at the same time. So we need to move him away from both the orb and the soon-to-be
Go, Malik,
rift.
keep moving.
So I'm telling him to move and keep shifting. I got hit by
Keep looking around.
the pylon. It doesn't hurt too much. So I keep telling him to move because he didn't see where the rift is. I taunt and I reposition. As you can see how the rift is spawned there, so I'm going to move him away from the rift some more.
Fell calls in 3. Fell calls external.
So again, no fire brand. I need an external for this. I almost jumped off the cliff, but the orb spawned and I jumped away. I believe it procs my LR here. Yeah, there's my last resort. I almost died there. Because I leapt away during a fell call. It's really risky. Spread out and eat this. I killed somebody else, I think. So right now we're at 7%. We're just trying to live long enough to kill him. The next darkness is coming in, so wait 2 seconds, get into the portal. Side note here, let me say this. I might be wrong about the darkness. I think you're always stuck with this stack. But if you're in the circle, as it goes off, the circle eats it, so you don't get 2 stacks. So I'm pretty sure you're stuck with this 1 stack. The entire fight, and everybody is. But you go into that circle, so it eats any other stacks that you would normally get. So right out is Fell Claws. I'm blowing any cooldowns I have because it's 5%. I just need to live. I tried to pop my armor potion, but I already used it earlier.
Taunt it.
So I taunt 3. Now if he survives, it should be a kill. We have to dodge this pylon.
Fell calls.
And if you notice here, Black Force has 2 stacks of the darkness because he did not get into that circle. Alright, wait for 5 and taunt ASAP.
Taunt it.
So this is all about staying alive. So I'm by the range, so I'm just pulling him away from it. Blow any cooldowns I have up,
Gonna need externals for this next one too.
and call for externals. And that's it. That's a kill. It's really sloppy because it's our first kill and we screwed up the pylons for 1 and the orb, the first flame orb. I didn't move the boss. But that's the fight. Again, the HP set made a huge difference. I highly recommend it. So that's the fight. If you have any questions, please let me know. Put in the comments. Hit me up on Discord. Otherwise, thank you for watching. If it helped you, please give me a like or subscribe. Thanks again.